Joining me now are, for my face-off, are Praveen Chakraborty. He's chairman of the All India Professionals Congress and part of the economics think tank of the Congress party. And Mohandas Pai, who's a critic of Rahul Gandhi's economics. He's chairman, Aaryan Capital. Appreciate both of you joining us. First to you, Praveen Chakraborty. Rahul Gandhi's article seems to suggest that Rahul Gandhi is going in for some kind of an image makeover when it comes to dealing with big business. He says, I'm not against big business, I'm against monopolies. Now, the critics are already saying that Rahul Gandhi is not seeing the new India which is being built around startups. He's still obsessed with one or two business houses and thereby on the basis of that is crafting his entire economic vision. Explain what Rahul Gandhi really wants to say when he says, I'm not against big business, I'm against monopolists.
Rajdeep, actually, Mr. Rahul Gandhi mentions a whole bunch of startups in his article. So I should correct you right there, saying actually he is, if anything, he mentions the startups in the list of what he calls play-fair businesses. He mentions a list of startups first, and only then businesses such as L&T and Bajaj Auto and others. So I think the fundamental difference in what Mr. Gandhi's vision for India and Indian business is, the messages are, Mr. Gandhi is pro-business, he's pro-investment, he's pro-innovation, but most important, he's pro-competition. Any economist, any business leader will tell you it is competition that is the bedrock of economic development. Competition produces innovation. Competition produces better prices for consumers. So, for example, if we all want cheaper flight tickets in the country, it's better to have 5 to 10 airlines than to have 1 or 2 airlines. So, competition is the bedrock. And today, under Prime Minister Modi, there is monopoly. There is monopoly by a few business groups, which explains why private investors, others are fearful. So the real emotion that Mr. Modi plays on when it comes to economics is fear. The emotion that Mr. Gandhi wants to play on when it comes to his economic vision is freedom. There's a fundamental difference between these two. So Mr. Modi's
that's an interesting way you're pitching it. Fear. Rahul Gandhi claims Indian entrepreneurs are living in a fearful environment and he wants to give them freedom. You want to respond to that, Mohandas Pai, because you've been very critical of what Rahul Gandhi has said. Explain why you think Rahul Gandhi has got it badly wrong.
Rajdeep, how Praveen has explained is pretty good about what people want to do. I don't think we can quarrel with that. But that article goes all over the place with all kind of language and does not make any sense. First of all, I want to ask Praveen, what are the monopolies he's talking about in India? Where are the monopolies in India? We have a law against monopolies. The law is enforced. There is competition in this country. Natural resources have all been auctioned where everybody can bid. And there's no corruption that has happened in the UPA era. So I don't understand by constantly abusing businessmen over the last 10 years and picking up Ambani, Adani, as if Ambani and Adani run this country. They're the only businessmen. I don't understand what they're trying to do and what kind of culture they're trying to build. They're all wishy-washy with nothing in that article which speaks about what you want to do. I don't like monopolies, motherhood statement. Even I don't like monopolies. Nobody likes monopolies. I want competition, which is not being said by Rahul, which Praveen is saying, yes, of course. Competition lowers price for consumers and given choice, of course. Very true. There are motherhood statements. But what do the articles say? The article says that banking, there are, NPAs for top 100 institutions in this country. Where are the NPAs for the last 10 years? All the NPAs came to the UPA. The banks are very competitive today. No NPAs have come up of any substance in the last 10 years. Then he speaks about all these startups and others. The startups have come up in the last 10 years substantially. Before that, there were not many startups. Very few startups are there. And they come up because of very good government policy like the startup fund that have come up. And in the states run by the Congress, we have not seen many startup funds come up. In my state of Karnataka, the atmosphere is quite hostile to the kind of startups that you must come because they're not investing in infrastructure and others. Then they speak about the East India Company to create fear. Yes, the East India Company was a company with an army where there was no justice. They made the laws. but there's no comparison with anything today in this era that's totally irrelevant. Now, when you speak about fear, yes, there is fear in industry today for a very important reason. Both the UPA and the NDA seem to allow the regulatory agencies like the RB, like the income tax department, the ED, and others free rein. Except in the UPA era, Rajdeep, you could run to a minister, make a deal, and you can call it off. But in the NDA era, nobody can run to Delhi and talk to the ministers and call it off. And it goes on and on. There is overreach by these agencies. There is an element of fear, and that must stop. That must stop. That must stop. And it will stop by government and opposition in parliament saying, give me a minute. By government and opposition parliament saying, this agency should show us whether they filed a charge sheet within 1 year, how many companies have they prosecuted, how many have they sent to jail, and justice must be done in 3 years. By prolonging it for years and years and years, they are rent-seeking, and there is an element of fear. In that area, I agree. Radhi, 55,000 businessmen, high net worth used to left this country in the last 10 years because of many of these tax terrorism issues. Yes, there is an issue there, but the rest of it lacks any substance. And I don't see any monopolies developing in this country like the East India Company and to create fear.
Okay, so Praveen Chakraborty, what Mohandas Pai is saying, there are bits in the article that you could argue are unexceptionable. But when Rahul Gandhi compares today's monopolies to the East India Company, he's perhaps making an exaggeration, an unfair critique based on his own personal belief that these companies are hand in glove with the government. So for every such so-called monopoly, and you can tell me who these monopolies are, there are also other companies that have done remarkably well in the last 10 years.
Yeah, first, I think I must point out the irony here. Mohandas Pai is in Bangalore. He is abusing the Karnataka government, which is a Congress government, on national television. Excellent. That is freedom. Now I challenge you to get any business person, any investor from anywhere in the country to come on your show and say the same about Mr. Modi and his government. I challenge you. That's an open challenge. That is the difference between fear and freedom. And fear is fundamentally wrong for economy. Businesses invest when they have freedom. And today, and that is really what Mr. Gandhi articulates in his article. What is he saying? We all feared the East India Company. Rajdeep, you talked to your grandfather. I have talked to my grandfather. They feared East India Company. East India Company controlled every single lever of society and government. And today, there are monopolies that do that. Forget my words. Former Chief Economic Advisor of the Modi...
No, be specific. No, Mr. Praveen Chakraborty, be specific. When you say there are monopolies that people fear, be specific. Because the fact is, as I said...
I'm coming to it.
You need,
I'm coming to it. I want to give you data. Mr. Arvind Subramaniam, former Chief Economic Advisor of the Modi government, he has put out a data. 80% of the increase in stock market value until 2022 was by the Adani group of companies, until the Hindenburg report came and revealed the truths. So there is 80% increase in stock market. Right? That's one example. There are two business groups that have monopolies in 15 sectors. In fact, he's written an article and given a talk where he says this is unheard of in the history of global capitalism. And that is the monopoly power we are talking about.
Rajdeep, Google has got a 92% market share in search. Okay? Meta, Microsoft has got an 80% market share globally in business. Now, these are digital global monopolies that happen because of different reasons. In India, which are them say Arvind Subramaniam is a discredited economist who wrote fake reports about India's GDP not being real, taking some fake data. He has no credibility to make this statement, and he's on the same side as Praveen making political statements. You don't go by somebody like Arvind because there is no debate with him. And the
Mohandas Pai, when companies that are seen to have no prior experience in a particular area appear to corner scarce resources, questions will be raised, particularly in infrastructure. I think much of these monopolies where
Why
you
don't
have
give me,
where
give me
you
an
have
example? Give me an example.
There were 6 airports that were given
Yes.
out for
Yes.
Praveen,
privatization.
Yes.
you know,
Every single,
Radip, Radip,
there were
Radip,
airports
there were
that were given out
22,
for
Radip,
privatization.
there were 32 companies which bid for the 6 airport. 32 companies. Why didn't you look at data? 32 companies bid for the airport. When GMR airport was given, there was no prior experience in this country. When GVK got the airport in Bombay, nobody had prior experience in running an airport. There is a criteria which is done. You follow the criteria, you get it. And if you feel there's anything wrong with the 6 airport, go to court and prove a case. Why make these fake allegations? This fear, you got monopolies, you're doing this. Rajdeep, Elon Musk's market value has gone up to $200 billion. Will you blame America to say there's inequality? You go for a listing. Tomorrow you go for a listing and you become a billionaire. Can we blame you? Say India has become unequal because Rajdeep Sardesai built a media empire, become a billionaire. Praveen could have been a billionaire if he's not following the silly path of politics done for 20 years. He could have floated a company. He'll be a billionaire. Can you blame Praveen and say this? Look, stock market capitalization as a indication of inequality is specious because, stock market values innovation in a very, very high way. Pension funds sold a lot of the stocks for thousands of people. This kind of specious argument. Don't hold water, Radhi. See, let's get data.
Okay.
I think we have to be let.
Okay, I want to give Praveen let me give Praveen a final word because many believe that Praveen is one of the brains behind Rahul Gandhi's economics. Give us a final word. Is this Rahul Gandhi's attempt to somehow clear the impression that has gone out that he's anti-corporate? You see, the impression that's gone out in the last few years because of this constant Ambani, Adani attacks that he's anti-business. Was this article designed to clear some of those question marks over Rahul Gandhi's critique of business?
No, first, I want to categorically say I'm no brain behind anything. So there's no brain or head behind anything here. Second, I have known Mr. Gandhi for some time, and I've never known him to be anti-business. I've never known him. If anything, a lot of his discussions have always been about how do we get more investment in India? How do we get more production in India? So how do we get more manufacturing in India? So that has always been the discussion. So I think this is not about some image makeover. I know you're a media personality, Rajdeep, so you would think in media terms, but it is not any of that. It is simply about putting out what is the reality. I think it is really laughable to say that there is no fear or there are no monopolies or there are no favored business groups of this government. I don't think there is one other company other than these two that will actually agree to what Mohandas Pai is saying. So that's a fact. The real purpose of this was to say that, listen, we have to have, the fact is our economy is in doldrums. So it is in the larger national interest. It is in the larger national interest for us to actually go to a more pro-competition, anti-monopoly, pro-innovation.
Okay,
vision, and that's what Mr. Gandhi
I'm in a... Mohandas...
Please.
Yeah, Mohandas Pai, 30 seconds, but just 30 seconds. Mohandas Pai, you see, there should, would you agree that we've been in denial also for too long, that there are problems that also exist with the economy? You can't suggest that small and micro enterprises, for example, have struggled post-COVID, while some big houses who are networked with the government have benefited. Why not admit that and move on? A quick answer.
Rajdeep, individual income tax is going up by 21-22% this year on top of an 18+% last year. Does this show an economy in distress? Will you pay income tax when you don't have income? It's gone up in 21%. Please look at data. 1.6 crore new jobs are being created every year as per the EPFO based upon Aadhaar entitlement. There is data there every single month by industry, by gender, by states. By age. Why don't you look at data? Jobs are being created. In the South, there are no people working in construction. Projects have come down because people are not there. There is a shortage of people in many industries. Now, he said there are no jobs created. There is no, businesses in doldrums. This in doldrums. GST has gone up by 8.9%, which is one of the lowest, but it's still gone up to 1.87 lakh crores. Income tax collection by individuals has gone up. Does it show economy in doldrums? Come on, Rajdeep. Let us be real. Look, I agree with Praveen in principle.
Okay.
We need competition. We should not have monopolies, all that kind of thing. But not all these pieces argument irrelevant of data. Let him come out with proper data. Have a proper debate. Write a good article. That article is wishy-washy.
Okay.
Doesn't make sense. It's very confused. The
Okay.
product of a confused mind.
Mr. Okay. We've heard two sides of the story. I think we need a wider debate. It would be great if we could have a debate, therefore, between the Modi model and the Rahul model. Hopefully with the two principal stakeholders, but that's sort of wishing for something that's not going to happen. But for now, Praveen Chakraborty and Mohandas Pai for joining me and illuminating our viewers. Thank you very much.